Have you ever been on a sales call or meeting that you thought was going really well? You connected, they seemed super interested in your products and services, and then you get to the part where you say your fee. And suddenly there's a total shift in the person's attitude. They're kind of anxious, they're asking weird questions, they seem almost panicky, they want to get off the phone or leave the meeting. And you're like, what went wrong? Today, I'm going to teach you the number one mistake not to make when that happens and tell you what to do instead. It's happened to everybody that you have a call or a meeting that seemed like it was on a good track. Maybe even they heard about you, they got on the call complimenting you, saying you have exactly what they need. But then at the end, it starts going south when it's time to close. And let's face it, closing is the hardest part of selling. I've been teaching sales for 8 years now. And I like to joke that it's all fun and games up until the close, because it's fun to talk to people about what you do and hear what they're up to and find out what their problems are that maybe you can solve. But when it comes down to closing, that's when you really need those sales skills. So what I'm going to teach you today is game changing. And I don't want you to make this mistake. It's the number one mistake that people make when their clients don't react the way they want them to in these sales calls and meetings. What you want someone to say is, oh, okay, $10,000, great. When do we get started? Or, oh, 2 payments of 5, super, let me go grab my credit card. But that's often not what happens. And so if you make this mistake, you're going to let clients who are perfect for you, who you can absolutely help and who you should be working with, slip right through your fingers. It happens all the time. And when I do my sales programs, when we train women in sales, I often hear these stories about women saying, well, I thought it was going really well. And then we got to the end and they were like, well, when's the next one? Or, oh, I didn't think it was going to cost that much. Or sometimes they say, well, let me check with my spouse. They're just all kinds of excuses people make. And the number one mistake that women make at this time is they take it personally. That is the number one mistake. They start feeling like, oh no, I thought this person really liked me, but I guess they're not sure about me. Or I thought they were super interested in the products and services I just described, but now they seem to be having second thoughts. And so what happens is their energy sinks, the person who's trying to make the sale, in reaction to what they perceive as a less interest or lack of interest in closing and taking it down the line. So if you make this mistake, unfortunately, your deflated energy, if you take it personally, is going to then ricochet off the other person. And then the whole thing is going to devolve and unwind, and you'll probably get off the phone without closing that sale. So here's what needs to happen instead. When someone, first of all, let me say something else about this moment. The bigger the number you put out there, I just said $10,000 a few minutes ago. Well, for some people, that's a lot of money. And for some people, that's not a lot of money. But if your fee is an amount of money that's a lot for the person you're talking to, let's just say it's a B2C sale, then there's an even higher likelihood that they're going to have this kind of panicky moment, which I'm about to explain to you and help you not take personally. If it's a B2B sale, it might be a much bigger number, like $100,000. They could still have it. So here's why. When you're making this sale and you put the number out there, there's a part of the brain that has a biochemical reaction to what you've put on the table, to this number. And the bigger the number, the bigger the reaction. Maybe you've heard of this part of your brain called the amygdala. It's a little almond-shaped group of neurons that monitors and checks out when are you in danger. It manages your emotions, and it also manages fight, flight, or freeze, which is what we do when we feel there's a danger. And when it feels fight, flight, or freeze, it's going to start sending cortisol all through your body in order to protect you. This came from prehistoric times when we used to be chased across the tundra by a woolly mammoth. And the reason our ancestors survived is that their amygdala kicked into high gear and they sent, flight cortisol. So they had like superhuman strength from this cortisol to run away from the woolly mammoth. Or maybe it was freeze and play dead, right? Or maybe it was extra energy to fight off an enemy. The problem is, even though today there is no woolly mammoth chasing us across the tundra, the amygdala still fires up when we feel like we're making a big decision, we're spending a bunch of money, we're about to make a big change in our life. And so it's not your fault But when you put that price out on the table, the person's having what's actually called an amygdala hijack. This is a term that was coined by Daniel Goleman, who wrote the seminal book about emotional intelligence back in the 90s. I'm sure you've heard of emotional intelligence. So he called it the amygdala hijack because it actually stops you in your tracks. You are on this course getting ready to, sign up for a program or hire a new consultant or fix your website. And then you hear that number, $10,000, and your amygdala just has a little freak out. The amygdala hijack, it hijacks the whole situation, sends cortisol all through your body. And suddenly, instead of getting your credit card, you're making excuses. You could even feel a little panicky or queasy. And the you in this sentence is now your client. But you yourself have felt this feeling before too. I know that when I was signing up for a gym a few years ago, I got a tour of the gym. I was all excited to change gyms. I wanted to upgrade to a better gym. And at the end of the tour, I sat down across from the guy who wanted to sign me up for the gym. And he said, okay, it's going to be a 12-month membership. It was over $200 a month, which was $100 more than my prior gym. And my amygdala had a complete freak out. I started finding all these reasons why it was not the right time to change gyms, even though I went there to change gyms. I knew the price of both. None of that was a surprise to me, but I started thinking, oh, wait, this gym is so much fancier. Maybe I'm not going to want to feel like I have to be fancy when I go to the gym. My current gym, I can just roll out of bed and go there. And this gym, you have to take an elevator down. Maybe I'm not going to enjoy taking an elevator down. Just all of these excuses came up. And so I said to him, well, thank you. Now I have all the information. I'm not ready today, but I'll come back. Well, I didn't go back. And that is what's going to happen with your clients. Once you let them off the phone or let them walk out the door like he did with me that day, I did not come back. He sent me a bunch of texts. But once you've talked yourself out of something, it's a whole big lift to talk yourself back into it. And this is why sales skills are so important, because you have this precious 30 or 45 minutes with your potential client. And if you have a great call or meeting and you're connecting and you're talking about what they need help with and you're so sure you can help them, and then you get to the end and they have this freak out, little amygdala hijack, but you don't know it's that, and you take it personally, you're going to lose so many sales that you could have closed and really that they need you to close. So that's the other reason to learn how to overcome the amygdala hijack is your clients need you to be better at selling than they are at panicking. And having these skills is what's going to help you get there. If you want to learn more about that, this is exactly what we teach along with many other sales skills in our sales program. You can find it on our website at millionwomen.com. Just go to programs and you'll see we have a DIY version you can do on your own from anywhere in the world, or you can take our live version, which I teach a few times a year, where you have me live for 4 sessions and we do a bunch of role play and make sure you can apply this to your business. So thanks for joining me today. Make sure not to make that number one mistake when you're closing. Don't take it personally, and do learn the skills to help people overcome their amygdala hijack so they can get what they came to that sales call or meeting for, which is to work with you. All right, great to see you, and I will see you soon right back here. In the meantime, stay brave and go big.